going on, everybody? Welcome to the second episode of Outside the Locker Room Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Collin Taylor. I got some great guests with me today, but before I introduce them, I got to go on a little bit of a rant here. I got to get it out there. I went live Thursday night after the game for a little bit, talk with Sean. Sean's actually on today. The Kansas City Chiefs. Actually, I'm not even going to say the Kansas City Chiefs. Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore single-handedly lost a football game. Not an excuse guy, never have been, never will be. So I'm not just going to solely blame it on them because, the better team, I guess, won the game. I wish I could say that with full heart believing it, but I'm not. I don't even understand how you can have a ball go right through your hands 6 times throughout a game. They talked about the injuries coming in training camp. I could care less about that stuff. It hits you in both hands, you catch the ball. That's how I feel. So I just wanted to get ahead of that a while. We'll talk about it a little bit, I guess. But, anyway, let's move on. Today I have with me from Kutztown, Pennsylvania, wearing a Chris Olave jersey. All of these guys actually get to wear football jerseys today. I don't get to. But I got Sean Hess with me. Sean, how are we doing, big guy?
CT, I'm doing pretty good today. It's a great Sunday. It's a great day to have football. When football is back, can't be any better. I'm going to watch the Saints. Probably disappoint me, but at least football's back and life feels normal.
I'm in agreement with you, big guy. And also today, another special guest. You might have seen him on the sports show before we rebranded. The man, the myth, the legend, the best wide receiver to ever come out of Shippensburg High School, Isaiah Hauser. Isaiah, how are we doing?
Doing good. I had a tough football game the other day, but hey, glad to be back on a podcast. Feels good to be back.
Well, it's great to have you guys. Now, I'm going to throw Isaiah on the spot here just because this is the second week in a row that we've had a collegiate athlete on the pod. We talked to Dalton a little bit last week about his game. This week, I want to talk to you a little bit about your game, and then also I got a question for you after it. So, Isaiah, walk us through your game. Tell us who you played, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, so we played East Stroudsburg at home, and offense didn't play too well. Only put up 12 points, but we lost 13-12. The issue, so I'll break it down to you guys. So at the end of the game, we're on the 1 yard with like 30 seconds left. Like we can kick a field goal, we can score a touchdown. So we opt to center the ball for our field goal kicker. And our coach thought we had one more timeout left, and we had 0. And so everybody's just walking off the field. Our coach is like, timeout, timeout. The ref's like, you don't have a timeout. And so we tried to rush the kickers on there and didn't get to play off. We ended up taking that loss.
Well, that is a very unfortunate way to lose a game. I can tell you that much. Reminds me a little bit of the little Chris Webber action. Final Fab Five, Michigan, back in like 94, 93, something like that. Thought he had timeout, got the T. But hey, it is what it is. I apologize that happened to you guys, man, because you guys, although, one game doesn't define a season, so you guys are going to bounce back. I know that. But the one question I wanted to ask Dalton last week that I forgot is I want you to walk us through a game day for, Division III, in your case, Division II athlete.
Yeah, so I'll go just to do a home game. So depending on what time we play our game, we usually wait. Well, let's go through this past weekend. So our game was at 4:00. So we didn't have anything to do until about 11:40. Yeah, 11:45. And that's when we went to our dining hall at 8. And then after that, we had our team meetings. So we had a big team meeting with the entire team, and then we went through our individual walkthroughs on offense and defense. That's usually about 15 minutes long. And then we have time, like 2 hours, honestly. And so that's where guys go get treatment, go get taped up, just go get mentally prepared for the game. And then about right an hour before the game, everybody starts to suit up. We go on the field, warm up, come back to the locker room, and get ready to go.
Now, do you have any pre-game rituals that you do every week?
I do not. I just listen to music, try to get locked in. I don't usually like to talk to a lot of people before football games. Just like to be silent, stay in my thoughts. But that's just me. I don't have any real rituals.
I mean, I know Sean has rituals before Saints games on game days, so I mean, I was just curious, and Sean, I bet that probably makes you a little embarrassed now hearing that an actual football player doesn't even have a ritual, but here you are doing the same thing every day.
Well, I personally, everybody needs that ritual. In high school, I ate a bag of chicken before every football game. Is that a good idea? No, but it's still a pre-day ritual, and it's still a thing you have to do.
Let's hop into it here on the first topic. Let's break down Thursday night. Obviously, I gave my opinion. I'll let you guys talk on it a little bit, but my first question is besides Kansas City, what are your guys' thoughts on the Detroit Lions after week 1?
You gonna go ahead, Sean? Okay, I'll go. Okay. So I always thought the Detroit Lions are frauds. I still think they're frauds. Like I think they got very lucky to win that game. I feel like everything went wrong for the Chiefs, and they almost won still. But Jared Goff, I mean, he played solid. Their defense did a little better than expected, but when Chiefs don't have Travis Kelce, it changes everything. But yeah, I honestly got I take away more from the Chiefs than the Lions because just the fact that Chiefs everything went wrong and they still almost won. So honestly, like it's a win. And you didn't have Travis Kelce, and like I commented on your tweet the other day, it was the worst receiving performance by a receiver in NFL history. I just the IEP football receiving core. Anybody on us would have went out there and performed better.
Sean, what are your thoughts, man?
Yes, the Lions' defense are frauds. I don't think that defense is getting them anywhere. Their offense is always going to put up points. You got Sun God, Jared Goff, good running backs, David Montgomery, Jameer Gibbs, good duo. Reminds me a little bit of the boom and zoom combo that Mark Ingram and a young Alvin Kamara formed. But that's for the season to decide whether it actually gets up to that hype or not. People saying, "Oh, they need to use Gibbs more." No, he's a rookie running back. You don't want him getting injured. You don't want to give him 30 touches a game and then him getting injured because running backs they're gone like that, and they use a high draft pick on him. They want to save him. And when he did touch the ball, he was electric. And I personally think that David Montgomery's that first and second down guy that's going to get you those tough yardage, and Gibbs is going to be that guy you pass to. Set the screen game up, and he's going to get you yards, and he's going to put on big plays like a young Alvin Kamara did. But their defense, they got bailed out by Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore. I don't think their division's lackluster with Aaron Rodgers out of there, I think the Vikings defense is terrible, and Justin Fields is the most overrated quarterback in the NFL, but that's for another day. So they may win their division, but I can't really see them going anywhere in the playoffs, especially with that defense.
So my next question for you guys is, I'm not asking this question for my sake because I'm not worried at all. But if you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan besides me, should you be worried going forward? Isaiah, what are your thoughts?
I think yes. I think only because the receiving core. Like you guys, that receiving core can't win you Super Bowl. Like you guys had Juju last year. He was a big component to that team. Kadarius Toney was better. I don't know if he just got worse or, like you said, the injuries. But I don't think the receiving core as is right now, you guys win a Super Bowl with them. So in terms of that, yeah, I think they should be a little bit worried.
I would say yes and no. I do think their defense put on a very good performance, only letting up 21 points to Jared Goff. Like that's not a bad offense. That's a pretty
The
good
fourth
offense.
best offense in the league last year, remind you.
Granted, bad defense, so they got to catch up in games. But um, yeah, no, they only let up 21 points to a very good offense. They had some key turnovers. Actually, I think it might have been one, but um, yeah, I thought their defense, for considering missing Chris Jones, I thought they played decently well. But like when they had Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, if one of them was hurt or one of them was getting locked up, the other one was free. And if they don't have either, these receivers aren't good enough to be a receiver one. I think letting Juju go was what they should have done, but I think it's going to hurt him in the long run because I do think he was that guy that's going to catch. He won them the Super Bowl. I personally in that last drive, he won them the Super Bowl, and even though Juju's always been that hated player since he started doing the Corvette, I still think he's a good football player. Now, he's getting older, and I think he's dealing with some injuries for the Patriots. But I think the Chiefs letting him go will have a significant impact on that receiving core this year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that aspect of it. But one thing I will say is the one thing I was very disappointed in is, I guess, I'm a big believer that, if a guy is losing confidence or makes a bad play, you give him a chance to make up for it. But they gave Kadarius Toney 7 attempts after to make up for it, and he didn't make up for any of them. And you got a guy, and I'm going to say it, one of the most underrated players in the league, the most underrated wide receiver in the league because he's only played one actual NFL game. You got a guy like Justin Ross just on your sideline, and you're not even, he gets maybe 15 snaps if that, and you target him one time. I mean, he caught the ball on the attempt. Let's put it out there. He at least did that. I think you got to utilize him a little bit more. And I get, he had some injuries in the past, but let the guy out there, let him cook. I mean, he was, his college years, he was like top 2, if not the best receiver in college football his last year that he played. So that's just me. But, moving on here away from them, Sean, we got to talk a little bit about a take that Dalton Ford decided to make last week. He couldn't make it on today. Dalton decided to say that people are claiming the Saints to be a top 5 team in the NFC, and he said they're looking more like a top 5 pick. Sean, what do you think?
Personally, I mean, obviously I'm going to have bias because I am a Saints fan, and I think Derek Carr is going to be that guy this year. I don't think we make a deep playoff run this year. I think we make the playoffs because we're in the worst division in the NFL, besides maybe the AFC South. Because the Panthers are frauds. Their defense is good. Offense is. Bryce Young's a rookie. He's not going to do anything. Desmond Ridder for the Falcons, frauds. The Bucks, Baker Mayfield, come on now. So I do think we win the division with like a 10-7 record, 11-6 record, because we do also have the worst schedule this year. I mean, I guess best. So we play the worst teams. I think we played 4 teams with a winning record last year. So it would definitely be a disappointment to go anything less than 500. But I do understand it's a new quarterback, and Breeze, whenever he came over from San Diego, he didn't have immediate success. It took him a couple years to get in there and actually learn the offense, and then eventually we won a Super Bowl. So I think our players are fantastic right now. I think we're in a great spot. I think our defense is aging, yes, but I'd still consider them top 10 in the league when fully healthy, which is a big if. And I just think we're going to meet expectations of winning the division, but I really can't see us making a deep playoff run.
Isaiah, your thoughts on the Saints, Dalton State?
Yeah, I think me and Sean very similar page. I think the Saints are gonna be very good in the regular season just because of the division and their schedule's pretty easy. But they're gonna be like the Vikings last year. I feel like they're gonna have a really good record. I could see them even better than 10-7. I could see them like a 13-4, but just even like a number 1 seed in the NFC. But they're just not gonna win any playoff game. Like not playing good teams in the regular season is really going to affect them. And like Sean said, most of their best players are on the older side. And they already have guys with injury issues like Marshawn Lattimore. I'm sure Sean could name 1,000 more. But so that also scares me for the Saints. But if they're healthy, like they're going to be a good team just because they have a good roster. But they're not going to be healthy because they're never healthy. So I think the Saints they're definitely going to make the playoffs. But top 5 pick, no, probably not.
Now, Sean, one thing I think you need to think about with, you talked about the Falcons. If this Desmond Ridder experiment doesn't really work, there's a guy that could potentially, put up a loss against you guys, and Taylor Heineke, that guy, he's that dude. There's a very good chance that he might even be starting there before, the end of the year. And, I mean, he's that guy. He was for Washington. I just knocked the heck out of that desk. Sorry about that. He's that guy. But I think that's one thing you got to worry about is if he gets a start, he might be able to come into the dome and get a W like Jameis.
Besides that one random playoff game against Tom Brady, he decided to be the best quarterback in the NFL. CT's performance in the Holiday Bowl will always outshine him in any single game that he ever plays. He's that quarterback room might be the worst in the league. And I know Taylor Heineke, whatever. He's fun to cheer for, but Desmond Ritter is worse. So I wouldn't be surprised if Taylor Heineke did end up starting later this season.
All right, Isaiah. Now let's move on. You're repping the Seahawks jersey. Let's talk about them a little bit leading into this season. What's your outlook for them?
I just have one goal for the Seahawks the entire season. It's just to win a playoff game. I think last year we had a good little benchmark making the playoffs. We competed against the 49ers. We were up at halftime, and then it just kind of went downhill. I think we got better this offseason. Had a good rookie class. Jack Smith and Jigba, of course. Also signed Draymond Jones. I like how young the team is. I like the potential. But at the same time, we're not there yet. I think maybe another year till we actually can make a run to Super Bowl. So right now, I just want to win a playoff game. I think we have a chance to win a division, depending on how the 49ers quarterback situation goes. And also their health, because they're like the Saints. They have Chris McCaffrey. He's good when he plays. And Deebo Samuel, he's good when he plays. And so, but their defense is always going to be good. So it's going to be a tough division to win, but I think they have a chance. But I just want to win a playoff game.
Now, I just want it to be known, as Sean brought it up, talked about my performance in the Holiday Bowl. For those of you who don't know, 9 touchdowns, over 450 yards thrown. It was pretty much an air raid, I'd say. Isaiah had 2 touchdowns in that game. Kobe, our golf expert, had 4. We came out with the win. But I just want you fellas to know that I was not comfortable after that. I was not satisfied with that performance. So this entire summer so far, leading into the fall, I've been really working, meeting with some people, some experts, to learn the quarterback position a little bit better, because this year's Holiday Bowl is going to be a little bit different. I'm hoping to go for maybe 10 touchdowns, 15 touchdowns, and just absolutely annihilate our opponent. Shout out to Kyle Levy for the crucial interception that he threw to Isaiah. He was on last week. I should have brought that up, but it is what it is. So moving away from the NFL, let's talk a little college football here. We had a pretty big game happen in Tuscaloosa last night. Horns up. Quinn Ewers put on an absolute show. I had my stats here pulled up of his night. I gotta find it real quick though, because they literally just went away. I knew he had like 3 or 4 touchdowns, but I want to be correct in what I say when I do this.
It's weird that we're older than him. Are we?
Yeah, it is. I'm pretty sure we are.
If not the same age.
If we probably the same age, Isaiah might be older than him. We had Quinn Ewers. He was 24 for 38, 349 yards with 3 touchdowns. And that is unheard of going into Tuscaloosa and doing that, let alone playing him at home. I mean, he went into the mouth of the lion and he ripped its heart out. That's for damn sure. Sean, give us your take on that game last night.
So I did not get to watch the game, unfortunately, but I was surprised to see that Alabama lost, especially against Texas, because everybody hates Texas. Everybody hates the stupid horns thing. Quinn Ewers may be a future Saint quarterback. I can never leave that possibility off the table. It depends how long he stays in college for, but the only real college football I've been watching is Colorado, and they're going to win games, but I don't think they're going to beat top teams.
Let it be known that they struggled a little bit in the first half against Nebraska yesterday. I got to watch a little bit of the first half. They ended up winning the game. They blew them out. But I do think Colorado's got a lot of potential. I just don't think they're going to be a college football playoff contender like Dion thinks they're going to be this year. Isaiah, give us your thoughts on Colorado.
Yeah, they're going to be solid. I think I saw for the first game, I saw a stat that there were like 90 new players on that roster, and that's just insane. Like, I think they're only bringing back like 3 guys from the last year's team, so it's completely different roster. I mean, right now they're ranked 22. They might go up a couple spots. I don't know if any ranked teams lost besides Alabama and stuff like that, but they're gonna. I mean, they're gonna be solid. There's gonna be some tough teams on their schedule. I know they play a couple more ranked teams, but probably not gonna. They're not gonna end up being a top 10 team. But hey, you never know. Sanders is definitely a good quarterback, though. I don't know when he's coming out, but he might just be a first round pick or something. Who knows?
So staying with the college football theme, you know, everyone usually tries to set their schedule up with 3 pretty easy wins in the first couple of weeks. That's usually how these goes, unless you're Alabama or Texas. I don't know why they chose to do it. First off, I think it's a good coaching tactic to do, because you get out there, you're able to first see where your team's at first week, and it's a good building block to get you ready for conference play. So Jim Harbaugh has been a guy everyone talks about when it comes to that. They do it every year. Big fan of it. They actually play Texas. I think they open up against Texas next year, so it's like the first year they're not doing it. But besides that, he's done it every year. He's been at Michigan. For the most part, Ohio State's done it. They usually have maybe one half decent game in the first couple of weeks. What are your thoughts on coaches doing that leading up to conference play? Isaiah, you can go ahead and start.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it, but you gotta eventually you gotta play good teams. Like that's gonna be good for your team. Just getting used to playing tough games where you gotta grind it out. Where it's gonna be the fourth quarter game, and that's what matters. Like it's nice to blow teams out and just get rolling, but eventually you gotta have it start. Well, I mean, Alabama playing a ranked team, their second game. I mean, it's tough, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Like you're not the only one playing ranked teams. Like I mean, Texas is playing you. You know what I mean? So you guys are both in the same situation. So the best team, I always believe the best team's always going to win. That's just how it works, especially in college football. So as I come out, be ready to play.
Sean, your thoughts?
So yeah, I mean, it's hard for the average fan to watch a very good team just blow out a no name, but it is needed to get that team chemistry going, especially with how much of a turnover there is in college football as compared to the NFL. Obviously, I think it is to get a good game or two in just to get that flow going, and then play a very good team. And like Isaiah said, grind it out. You don't want to bring yourself down to the level of these teams are going to blow out. You want to face people that are equally as good as you, or even maybe a little better. Eventually, a couple weeks in, I did look up Colorado's schedule, and they do play USC at the end of the month. They're 6 right now. If they can manage to pull off to beat USC, then. But I don't think they will. I can see how they're shaking his head. I don't think they will. I think it'll be a close game, but I don't think they'll win it. I think they'll have another bad loss, and I think they'll have the college football playoff like that. But yeah, I don't. It's the one bad thing about college football. You're going to watch a very, very good team with all 5-star players play a no-name school from Tennessee, and you're like, what is this school? Never heard of any of these players, and no one has either. But that's a bad thing about college football. But when it's a very good college football game, that's better than a very good NFL game. But just a regular college game is not going to be better than a regular NFL game.
Yeah, and I mean, when I look at schedules and all that sort of stuff, I agree it's a good feeling out process, getting guys back in rhythm with one another. But I mean, I think for Nick Saban's sake, after the past couple of years of not winning, I think part of the reason why these games are scheduled for him is it's like he hopes it's going to be a return to glory per se for him. Like if he can come out and beat these guys, it's a good look for the program, because quite frankly, they have not been the same Alabama that they were throughout the 2010s. And I I think it's slowly going more and more downhill for him. Uh, Although I think he's probably the greatest college football coach in history. That's my opinion because he's been so dominant. I just think other teams are getting better, and I think part of that stemmed from people being tired of seeing Alabama winning all the time or Clemson winning all the time, and they want to be part of that process that takes them down. So I think for once, college football is wide open because Georgia, their quarterback, they've had 2 games against very bad opponents. He played well, but what's that going to transpire into a good game against a good team? So like I said, this year I think there's 5 or 6 teams that are capable of making the college football playoff and winning the national championship. I am just not a believer that USC is one of them. I don't think there's a lot of competition in the Pac-12. Caleb Williams is good, don't get me wrong. I just think they're not built to beat a team like Texas. They're not built to beat a team, like Michigan or Georgia or Ohio State or, any of these powerhouses. I don't think they have the athletes around them to do it. But I guess we'll see how good Caleb Williams actually is. And I think Colorado is going to be that first real test for him. So as much as I don't think that Colorado will beat them, I think they're the toughest opponent that they're going to see for a little while. So we'll see. But that's going to lead me into my next point about college football. I mean, I got something here let's just start off by saying this guy, number 9, J.J. McCarthy, he is that dude, okay? There's nothing else I can say about it. I mean, the dude is 48 for 55 in his first 2 games, over 500 yards passing. He's thrown 5 touchdowns. His completion percentage is 87.3%. That's just unheard of through 2 weeks. He has improved his game. He's making every single throw that I've seen him make in the first 2 games. Now, I get it. He's not playing, he's not playing Texas. Are the same throws that I'm seeing Caleb Williams make against his first 2 scrub opponents. So I'm not saying he's better than Caleb Williams. Not saying that at all. I'm just saying keep him on your Heisman radar. I know Sean's out here saying Shedeur Sanders, Heisman. People are saying Travis Hunter, Heisman. Don't get me wrong, but I think there's a potential that Michigan has 2 Heisman candidates on their roster between Blake Corum and J.J. McCarthy. And yeah, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid as you all can see. I'm a big believer in Michigan this year, but I think this is a one and done thing for them. If they can't get it done this year, I think regardless of what happens, Harbaugh's gone, especially with all the infractions. So, Sean, what are your thoughts on Jim Harbaugh and this season for Michigan?
So, I mean, I saw you pull up some stats, and that was against East Carolina and UNLV.
I said 2 scrubs.
Oh, I'm aware, but whenever they play Penn State, which is probably that's probably their next toughest opponent. They at least ranked opponent, and that's not till November. I could see them beating Penn State easily. I always think Penn State's overrated, but that's just because I live in Pennsylvania and everybody loves them. I can see them making the college football playoff. I mean, I'm not a huge college football watcher, but it's tough to tell how good a team's going to do when you've only played East Carolina and UNLV. Until you get like those like bona fide Division I programs, even if it's just like a I guess Minnesota, Nebraska, just like a more well-known school than UNLV and East Carolina. And that's when you can really tell. But I still think it's too early to say anything for Michigan. To be fair, any college football team besides Alabama is, I mean, you can't lose against the Horns. You can't lose against the Horns.
I saw a post on Twitter today. It was like College Football Reports or something, and it's like it had the Alabama is eliminated from college football playoff contention. It was like one of those memes already. That was pretty funny today. I enjoyed it. Isaiah, can you give your thoughts on Michigan's outlook this season?
Yeah, so if I was the bet right now, who'd win a national championship? Michigan would probably my pick. I just like their team. I like how they're built. I like how they play the game of football. Like, I love how they run the ball because when it gets into the cold weather, like a team like USC where you're throwing the ball Like that becomes a lot more inconsistent. But running the ball, playing good defense, that's just going to win games. I know it's a very Pete Carroll type attitude, but that's just what wins. And they don't really play a tough opponent until, Michigan State's always going to be tough just because the rivalry game. But Penn State and Ohio State there at the end of the season. So, I don't expect them to lose. Penn State's going to be tough. Penn State's defense is pretty good. But I like I even like Michigan over Georgia. Georgia doesn't look like world beaters this year compared to the last 2 seasons. So I think Michigan's real good. They just can't, lose to a Minnesota or an Indiana or something like that, because that would just put a lot of pressure on them going to end the season with Penn State, Maryland, and Ohio State.
Yeah, that's definitely. I agree with everything you said, especially the run game, as Dalton Ford would say. You get into the weather, run left. Run the rock. Um, they make all those shirts and those hats, and a lot of Michigan fans wear them. It says "Run the damn ball." I'm actually going to be at the Big House next weekend, so I'm hoping. I'm thinking about taking my mics with me and doing a little content who like their least favorite college football coach is, and I'm hoping I can get like 15 Urban Meyers from talking to fans. I'd love to hear that. I think that'd be some good content for the account, the pod. But yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I think if they can compete, and the thing about them is just with how good they've been the past 2 seasons in making the college football playoff. Even if they only win by 2 touchdowns against a team they're favored by 3 or 4. They're not going to fall too far in rankings, because at the end of the day, I think the committee looks at a win's a win, and maybe this team's better than what we thought. So it'll be interesting to see how the year plays out. But I'm going to do a little something here, a little change of gears, completely different sport change, and then we're going to end with a new segment. Sean, you're a big Pelicans fan. Let's talk a little NBA here. I saw some pictures of Zion, but it looked like he was working out in his kitchen. Sean, what are your expectations for the Pelicans?
Zion. That's the deciding factor whether the Pelicans make a playoff run or they don't. We saw it last year with Zion on the court. They looked like one of the better teams in the NBA. But as soon as he came off the court, they were a fringe playoff team. McCollum's getting older. I think Herb Young and Trey Murphy are 2 great young players. Jonas Valanciunas, he's always going to be like an okay center. He's never going to be a great center. He's going to get the job done for what a center needs to do, but he's never going to do above that. Brandon Ingram, I really hope he stays healthy. Because when Brandon Ingram and Zion are on the court, it's a whole different ballgame. I watched probably about 20 games last year. The games where they weren't on the court, it just didn't look like the Pelicans could score or do much better, to be honest. But when they're on the court, whole different ballgame. It gets taken over. So if they stay healthy, I do think they can make a playoff run. Maybe win the first round, win possibly even the second round. I don't know if I still see them as unless Zion puts on like an MVP performance. I don't really see them as like a championship caliber team. I'm gonna get a Herb Jones jersey. I wish I had it right now, but I'm gonna eventually get one. But I hope they do good. Basketball is, I don't know very much about it, but it's fun to watch Zion, Bi, and I think we get one more superstar that can actually stay healthy, I think they could be a championship caliber team. But it's just all depending on whether Zion decides to not pick up that bag of Doritos or whether he actually goes to the gym. That's the deciding factor right now.
Now, first off, I'm not a Pelicans believer at all, but I'm just going to completely change gears away from them, because that's about the only airtime they deserve on any sports, any kind of sports entertainment and any facet. But Isaiah, let's talk about this now. Christian Wood to the Lakers. In my opinion, the Lakers are now the deepest team in the NBA, and there should be no reason that they don't win an NBA championship. So, Isaiah, give me your thoughts on the Lakers.
Yeah, the roster's really good, but at the end of the day, for the Lakers, it's always about the same thing, and it's the health of Anthony Davis. It's almost like I kind of see Anthony Davis and Zion if players just get hurt over and over, it's just not a coincidence. They're just injury prone. It's all about Anthony Davis though. He stays healthy, the Lakers will be good. He doesn't, the Lakers be a 500 team. That's all it's about. But he got hurt last year in the regular season. As long as he's healthy, at the end of the regular season and throughout the playoffs, the Lakers are gonna make a run. Like they're gonna be in the Western Conference Finals at the worst. But this team is clearly better than last year's team. We basically just brought back all the good players, got rid of all the bad ones, and added quality guys. Christian Wood, I wonder how they're going to play him. Whether he's going to be a starter or if he's going to be a guy off the bench. It's interesting how they're going to do it, but looking forward to that. I think this is truly LeBron's last chance of getting another ring, and the fact that it's out of his control, just it kind of bothers me a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely hurts. That's for sure. So we're gonna move
Not
on
my
here
goat.
to. Oh my goodness, Sean. We're not even gonna get into that. I'm not giving you the time of day, man. Or you're outnumbered. You're outmanned. We're not even talking about this today. But we're gonna move on to a new segment here. It's called Would You Rather. And before we get it started, I'm going to give you guys, I want you to think of a would you rather sports question to ask one of us. I'm going to ask Sean the question. Sean, you can ask Isaiah a question, and then Isaiah, you can ask me one. All right, so think of one. All sports, doesn't matter. But first, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Maxie's Brewhouse, Shippensburg, Pennsylvania. Stop in, get some good beer, some good food. We got a lot of them. I think 20 different beers on tap. Stop in, have some. I'm actually a bartender there, so stop in. I'll pour you a glass, something, whatever you want. And then secondly, I just want to give a huge shout out to all of our listeners last week. Between the three platforms that we use of YouTube, Spotify, and all the other different podcast stuff that our podcast is available on, we set a new record for most listeners. And that's me going back to the statistics of the sports show. So I'm hoping episode 2, we top that. We want to thank you guys. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all that sort of stuff. Like and subscribe, share it all, get it out there. And if anyone has any interest or any hot takes, feel free to message us. We're always looking for new people to come on. Don't be scared. So let's start this off. I'm going to let Sean, you ask Isaiah first, and then we'll go that way, and then we'll end with you answering the question.
All right. I'm a Saints fan. I'm going to ask a Saints-related question. Isaiah, would you rather, let's just say they're same age, same contract, whatever, Derek Carr or Kirk Cousins?
See, I'm not a huge Derek Carr guy. He just hasn't won nothing. And I know you don't believe winning's a quarterback's stat, but it is. So I'm going to take Kirk Cousins.
Kirko Chains.
What has Big Kirko won, though?
What's that?
What's Big Kirko won?
At least a division title.
Yeah, exactly. A division title.
It's not bowl. Is it really anything?
The issue is Derek Carr's a lot older than people think, and he hasn't done nothing. Like, you can say, oh, his defense hasn't been good. He hasn't been good either. I'm sorry, but he just hasn't. He was only a Pro Bowl last year because they ran out of quarterbacks. You know what I mean? Personally, right now, I take Kirk Cousins over Derek Carr.
I think Derek Carr will prove a lot of haters wrong this year, but yeah, he reminds me. I know this is a crazy comparison, but he reminds me of Drew Brees in those 7 and 9 seasons when we had the bottom 30. We had the 33rd best defense in the NFL. For all those years, put the pieces together. There's 32 teams in the NFL. That's how bad our defense was. But he reminds me of a Drew Brees-esque when he just had a terrible defense, and no quarterback could win NFL games if your defense is bottom.
All right, Isaiah, hit me.
All right, Colin, I got one perfectly for you. As a Chiefs fan, would you rather trade for Mike Evans or sign Chris Jones long term?
I think both is a great option. But if I had to pick, I would go with Chris Jones, solely because I saw a tweet. I don't necessarily know if I believe it to this extent, but someone tweeted out before the season, he's the Mahomes of the defense. Now, he might not be as effective as Patrick Mahomes is on the offensive side of the ball, but he is that leader. I think we do got a lot of young guys that could potentially get better and fill in the void over the years. But if they're trying to keep, what they've built together and staying consistent, I think Chris Jones is a guy you got to keep around at least for another year or two. So I don't necessarily know if I want to sign him to a 4-year extension. But I mean, if we can work a two-year out or something like that and get the man the money he wants, I think he deserves it. My opinion, he's, with the exception of Aaron Donald, he's probably the best pass rusher, defensive tackle in the league. So I would like him, but at the end of the day, I think there's room to do both. So we're gonna do that. And I think, you ship Kadarius Toney to Tampa Bay and bring in Mike Evans, and I think we'll be just fine. We got a lot of young guys that can learn from Mike, and we'll be all right. So
he's pulling a lot of XFL interest right now.
He has. I did see a lot of that. Dwayne's probably calling him up right now saying, hey, you might not make as much, but, these guys can't throw as good as passes as Mahomes. So you'll make them look good, So, Sean, I actually got two for you. One is kind of joking, but not really, and the other one's serious. So, my first one would be: would you rather? Okay, you ready for this? Have Baker Mayfield as your franchise quarterback, or would you rather have Collin Taylor from the Holiday Bowl?
I mean, without a shadow of a doubt, it's easily Collin Taylor, Holiday Bowl. Baker Mayfield's a bum. He throws the better receivers than some of the receivers CT was throwing to. Not like Kobe or Isaiah or anything, but the other ones, they are better. And he puts on much worse performances than CT. CT's setting records out here. And what's Baker done? He's the number one pick, and what's he done? Nothing. He's a bum compared to CT's Holiday.
All right, Sean. Now my actual real one for you, all right, is, you have a guy like Michael Thomas that can't stay healthy. I know you like him, but if it was up to you, there were talks of Odell going to the Saints this past offseason. Would you rather have Odell as wide receiver 2 or Michael Thomas as wide receiver 2?
How much was the contract that he signed for the Ravens? Wasn't it some ridiculous number?
It was like 18 million or something.
Yeah, upwards of 20 mil. For that price, absolutely not. I think they're both. MT at this point is just, I'm a ride or die with MT. This is his last season to prove if he can stay healthy. If he can't, then the Saints are going to have to eat that dead cap money and get rid of him. But I would rather, at this point, I'd rather MT, just because he's been with the Saints for so long. He knows he's been there probably longer than anybody else in the offense besides him and Kamara have been there a while. I've never been a big Odell Beckham guy. Obviously, when he was on the Giants, he was good, and then just kind of fell down from that. I think he had a good Super Bowl performance, but that can just be because he was a receiver too, and Cooper Kupp was getting the majority of the coverage. I do think Odell Beckham might do some things. Odell Beckham this year is either going to get 1,200 yards or 300 yards. He's not going to go anywhere in between. He might even end up injured week 2. So I'd rather just keep riding with Michael Thomas for the money that we're having right now, even though it's kind of expensive. Because when MT was healthy, the 2 games last season, I think he caught 3 touchdowns and had plenty. He looked like a regular MT. It was Jameis Winston throwing to him. Love my boy Jameis Winston, but that man is blind. But I'm excited to see him today perform with Chris Olave and just see what that offense can do. And we'll go from there for that question.
Well, I just want to thank you guys for coming on today. Now, Isaiah, while I'm saying a thank you to everybody else, I want you to think of a hot take that can lead me into next week that we can talk about, like something out there that, Dalton 4S, because he's not here today. And Sean, I also want you to think of one too. So I'm giving you guys some time. But first off, I just want to say thank you to everyone that listens to this again. Last week was incredible. First episode on. it was the feedback we got was great. We're still learning this whole visual and audio thing out. We're trying to work out all the kinks still. But right now, knock on wood, this one went really well. Hopefully it comes out really well. And we just want to say thank you again for listening again. OTLR Pod on Twitter. I think Instagram is the handle too. YouTube, Facebook, all that sort of stuff. Go give us a follow, like, subscribe. Follow us on Spotify too. That's a good way to find us. And you can also find us on any of the other podcast outlets. So with that being said, let's start with Sean. Sean, hit us with a hot take to lead us into next week.
Well, as much as I'd love to go with the Eagles in D4, just for a little retribution, I guess you'd call it, I do think they're going to be a great team, so I'm not going to say anything about that. My pick to be an absolutely terrible team this year is the Miami Dolphins. I don't think they'll do good. I think they'll go at best 5-12. I'm not a Tua guy. I think Tua's. I don't think he's any good, especially after he's throwing up gang signs. I don't think Tua's no good. Yeah, they have Tyreek Hill. Yeah, they have Jalen Waddle. They got weapons. I don't think their running game's gonna be any good. I think their defense is. They don't have enough star power on that defense to carry Tua. I think even if Tua has a good season, I still think they top out at maybe 500. I know they have big expectations this season, but I think the Bills are in the division. Bills are always going to be good with Josh Allen. Jets, they're going to win games. I don't really see them doing great at all. And the Patriots, they're going to win. They're going to pull out games because they're Belichick. And when you got that many teams that are going to win games or be great like the Bills, I just don't think. I think the Dolphins maybe are the third best in that division and miss the playoffs.
All right, that's a good one. I'm excited to talk about that one next week. Isaiah, what do you got for us?
First off, I want to say I think it's a great take by Sean. Never been a Tua guy either. My issue is they got a lot of weapons, and I think that's going to help them out a little bit more. But my hot take is very similar to Sean. I think the Ravens are going to be a bottom 8 team in the NFL. I've never been a huge Lamar Jackson fan, but and his health is a question. I don't love the receivers. They got a new OC. Their defense is okay, but they play in one of the toughest divisions in football, if not the toughest. I just like Sean. I could see him winning 7 games. Like that wouldn't surprise me. The Bengals are one of the best teams in football. I think the Browns have a really bounce back year. Steelers are kind of a sleeper. The Ravens could just be the one team left out and be the worst team in that division.
In all of these divisions, someone's got to lose. It's got to be somebody, and so I like both of those takes. I'm going to set the line right now at Lamar Jackson games played at over under 6.5. That's what I'm setting it at, and I'm personally going to take the under because I think there's going to be some bruised elbow that keeps him from playing, and it's not even going to be on his throwing arm. So it is what it is. But, just again, thank you guys for coming on today. It was a pleasure. Anytime, you're welcome back. Sean, just so you know that you're the only one that's not in Indiana, Pennsylvania right now. So, you missed out. Apparently, you didn't get the message. But it is what it is,
I'm in a better place.
But again, thank you guys for coming on today. It was a pleasure. We'll have to do it again here. Like I said, we're gonna be running this year round, almost like a New Heights-esque podcast. Maybe just not as well known as them, because none of us are the Kelsey. We don't have the fandom that the Kelseys do. Maybe one day. But again, thank you guys for coming on. Anything else you guys got to say? Go ahead.
Do that.
Go Hawks.
All right, fellas. Thank you again, everyone. Have a good rest of your day.
Enjoy football.